your energy drains out. Not because you're doing too much work, but because the structure around you has holes in it.
Hey squirrels, welcome to AVHD, where ADHD isn't some clinical diagnosis, it's just life. I'm AV, your always honest tour guide through this beautiful mess. Over here, we're not about fixing yourself. We're about figuring out how to actually enjoy your life as you are. So grab a snack and let's go.
This is not a productivity hack session. If you're looking for that, grab a fruit snack on your way out. As my colleague Kate Osborne says, grab a fruit snack on your way out if this is not for you. I'm not going to tell you to time block harder or to do a morning routine. I mean, I could tell you that, but honestly, then it would be me giving you advice that I don't follow myself. That's not what we're doing here. What we are doing is talking about why your business might be running on your personal tolerance instead of actual structure and what to do about it. What that means is, if it's running on your personal tolerance, it means that if you have less tolerance that day, everything's going to run less well. It's going to be real. It's going to be practical. And I promise that you are going to leave with clarity that you did not have when you logged on. So we're just going to jump right into it and let's go. Are you ready? I'm going to assume that that was an enthusiastic, yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's start with the thing that brought most of you here today. You're tired. Not like sleepy tired, but structurally, deeply exhausted. And the frustrating part is that your calendar might not even look that crazy. Your hours might be totally reasonable, and yet you're still wiped out by Wednesday. And that's if you had a chance to reset over the weekend. So what is going on? Most founders assume that they must be working too much. They say, I must be working too much. I need to work fewer hours. I need better time management. I need to hustle smarter. But that's not usually what's happening. If you're tired, then when you rest, you shouldn't be tired anymore. Work makes you tired. You rest, you should be fine. So if you rested and you're not fine and you don't seem to be working too much, that's probably not what's happening. The reality, and this is what this whole session is about, is that most founder burnout isn't caused by the volume of work. It's caused by unstructured access to your time, your attention, and your energy. I'm not going to spend too much time on what burnout is because there's a lot about it, a lot that's right, a lot that's wrong, a lot of information out here. But essentially, burnout, real, true burnout, is when you just did too much for too long all by yourself and you can't do it anymore. There really isn't a quantifier of when you're going to burn out or how you're going to burn out or who's going to burn out when. Like, it really varies greatly from person to person. But what is in common here is that it's usually caused by unstructured access to your time, to your attention, and to your energy. Clients can message you anytime. Your team escalates decisions to you constantly. Notifications interrupt your focus all day. You're pinging constantly. And your brain, especially if you're wired the way a lot of us in this room are wired, never gets to fully rest because it's always on low-key alert. And that's not a you problem. That's not a discipline problem. That's a boundary infrastructure problem. We already know about you that you're not going to be particularly structured. It's just the way you are, and that's okay. The difference between a discipline problem and a boundary infrastructure problem matters. The difference between those two things matters so much because if you think it's a you problem, you try to fix yourself. You push yourself harder, you beat yourself up, you download another productivity app, you go looking for a solution. I'm thinking of one person who I wish is on this call right now. I hope you're here and you know who you are if I'm talking to you. But if you want the structural problem, you fix the structure. And structure is actually fixable. It doesn't require digging deep and figuring things out. It's external. So that's what we're doing today because it's not a you problem. Even though we love to think that we're the reason that everything goes wrong, we're not. So here's how I think about this. And this image is actually really fun for me because the way that we approach everything at Allisto and at AVHD is what we call an octopus model. You are the brain, you are the heart, but you also have tentacles that help you, that support you. What does that look like when it's just you and yourself? It doesn't look like an octopus swimming through the water. It looks like this fugly thing. So here's how I think about this, okay? Imagine your energy, your focus, your leadership, your capacity, your creative brain. Think of it as a tank. This is what you have. You start the week or the day or the hour or whatever with a full tank. Now imagine that tank has 5 pipes coming out of it, and all 5 of those pipes are leaking. Slowly, all week long, your energy drains out. Not because you're doing too much work, but because the structure around you has holes in it. So you're plugging holes all over the place. You don't have sufficient fingers or hands. So let's talk about the most common boundary leaks. These are the 5 most common boundary leaks that I see in founder businesses, specifically small businesses, possibly media. And I want to walk through each one because I guarantee that you're going to recognize yourself in at least a couple of these. Okay, so let's go through them one at a time. Leak number 1 is unlimited access. This is when clients or team members or vendors or honestly anyone connected to your business, basically anyone besides your wife or your spouse, whoever. This is when anyone can reach you anytime through any channel and expect a response. We do this for sure at the beginning. We love to give people full access to us. You can't do that. You can't do it long term, especially not if you're divided up over a bunch of different channels. So they're sending messages on Slack, on email, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, Facebook DMs, text, sometimes all 5 in the same hour, depending on whether your client was holding their phone or they were at the computer. It's not possible to keep track of all of that. When communication has no structure, no defined channels, no response windows, your brain interprets every single notification as potentially urgent. And for neurodivergent founders, especially, that constant low-grade alert state is absolutely exhausting. It's exhausting for everyone, but it's especially exhausting for neurodivergent folk because you're not actually responding to emergencies all day. You're responding to the feeling that everything might be an emergency. That's a completely different thing, and that's a leak that can be plugged. Questions about that? Keep them in your mind. We're going to have a question slot at the end, so just hold. The second leak is scope drift. Yeah, this one is sneaky. It happened because your clients are bad people. It happens because the agreement was never clear enough to protect you both, and that's a boundary infrastructure problem that can be easily fixed. The third leak is the founder bottleneck. This one hurts. I'm not even going to lie to you. This one hits hard. This is when every decision in your business, big, small, medium, completely irrelevant to your actual job, ends up coming back to you. It ends up back on your desk at the end of the day. Most founders in this situation are extremely frustrated. I don't understand. I explained everything to everyone. Everyone has all the information that they need to be able to make this decision. But did you explain to people how to make this decision? Your team doesn't decide because nobody told them they could. Your clients go directly to you because that's what's always worked before. And slowly, your entire organization routes around you instead of through systems. You remain the decision center of the whole operation, even after you scale. And that's a problem. Not because you're demanding that power, you're an egomaniac, but because the structure hands it back to you by default. If there's no clear path forward for each bottleneck, it will come back to you as the founder by default. And when you're the bottleneck, your business can only move as fast as you personally can respond, which means that growth hits a ceiling at your capacity. Once you hit your capacity, you can't grow anymore. Your capacity is one person. One person is not enough for a successful business that runs itself the way that we dream of our businesses running themselves. Not passive income where we're sitting like leg over leg and just waiting for money to come in, but a business that properly runs itself. It has the clients that come in when they need to come in. Like it just runs, it works. The fourth leak is delegation hesitation. Again, guys, I'm really sorry, but you chose to be here. Raise your hand, even mentally. You don't have to actually raise your hand. If you've ever said, it's just easier to do it myself. It'll just be easier if I do it myself. like every day of my life. Yeah, that's this one. Delegation hesitation isn't about being a control freak, although a little bit it is, but it's not about being a control freak. It's usually about one of two things. Either the task feels too complex to explain, or you've tried to delegate it before and it came back wrong and now you don't trust the process. That's what happens. Both of those are fixable, but not with willpower. They're fixable with structure. When there's no clear system for how things get handed off, there's no defined outcomes, there's no authority, boundaries, there's no communication expectation. Delegation feels like a gamble. So you just keep it. It's safer with me than if I handed it off to someone else, because at least then I know what's going on. And then your plate stays full and the leak keeps going and the problem never got solved properly. The fifth leak, and then I'm going to stop reading you to filth and start telling you what to do about it. Leak number 5, and this one might be the most invisible one, is emotional labor. And I'm not only talking to women here, I am talking to men as well. Emotional labor is all the work you do to manage the feelings in and around your business. Reassuring an anxious client, smoothing over a team misunderstanding, softening a difficult message, managing expectations, right, before they become complaints. None of this shows up on a task list. It doesn't say like, check in with everyone and say, how are you doing today? It's not on your task list. None of it gets a time block, and nobody ever compliments you on how well you absorbed everyone else's stress this week. It's just a natural built-in part of your job. It's part of what you have to do as a founder. But it costs you a lot, especially for those of us who are highly empathetic, who read the room intensely, who feel responsible when someone else is upset. It's especially difficult for us and especially high cost. The antidote to emotional labor isn't to become less caring, because that's not possible anyways. You would have to inherently change who you are, and you can't. The antidote is building systems where expectations are so clear that the tension never builds up in the first place. Obviously, the tension is still going to build up sometimes, but the system should be able to absorb at least 80% of what you were dealing with beforehand. Okay, so those are the 5 leaks. Does any of that feel familiar? Don't say no. I know you're lying, but those are them. This is our leaky tank. Unlimited access to me. Scope drift, doing more than I promised. Bottleneck, all the decisions come back to me because they just have to. Delegation hesitation, I would just rather do it myself. I can't. It's too much work to explain it to someone else. It's too complicated. Tried to do that before, it didn't work. Emotional labor, all of that extra stuff in between that just drains us. So what the heck do I do about it? So now that we know what the leaks are, let's talk about what plugs the leaks. Because that's the cool thing about a leak. If it's a leak, it has a hole. If you find the hole and you plug it, it won't leak anymore. That's a beautiful thing, because it means that you can constantly be fixing things in your business that will actually fix things long term with the same amount of effort. I don't know about you, but that's pretty good news for me. This is the framework that I use with every founder that I work with. It's called boundaries. And yes, I am that person who turns everything into an acronym. You're welcome. The goal of the acronym isn't for you to be able to remember every element of the acronym. It's just cute. And it keeps everything neat and nice and tidy. So let me walk you through each pillar quickly, because every single one of these maps directly to one of the leaks that we just talked about. Okay, so our B is for boundary awareness. Before you can fix anything, you have to see it, right? You can't fix something you don't acknowledge. You have to see it to believe it. Out of sight, out of mind. We have 1,000 idioms that relate to this exact thing. B is about identifying where your time, your energy, and your attention are actually leaking. It's about getting honest about what's costing you more than it should. This one is rough because often our energy, time, and attention are going to the things that pull our energy, time, and attention. Sometimes that's people. Often that's people. This one can be really, really, really hard. I had a business coach who instructed us to go through our phone and mark everyone A or L, whether they were an asset or a liability. And then during the workday, you could only answer calls from an A. Something about that totally makes sense. Something about that really doesn't sit right with me. I don't like the idea of categorizing someone else as to what they are doing to my life. It's not about that. It's about setting the boundary. And although it made me very uncomfortable when my coach told me to mark everyone as an asset or a liability, I had to. There was no other way to see the boundary other than to see what was actually going on. Where is your energy, time, and attention going? And I didn't stop talking to certain people, but I significantly reduced the amount of access or unfettered access that they had to me. I had to stop answering their calls if they called at a time that I couldn't answer. And as a reminder, a boundary is not you can't do blah, blah, blah. A boundary is I have a need or something. This is what I am going to do to ensure that that need is met. Half of my family right now is in Israel. They're currently in a war zone. They have been giving us minute-by-minute updates. I don't want minute-by-minute updates. I don't. I can't have access to that in my phone. I can't have that popping up and pinging every time they're updating about something like that. Of course, if my parents are texting me, they're not included in my do not disturb. The phone rings. Either you can update whoever wants to be updated in a group that I'm not in, or I'm going to have to remove myself from the group, or I'm going to put myself on do not disturb. It feels like a threat, especially for us people pleasers, but it's not. They can keep doing whatever they want. I'm just going to have to put myself in a situation that's going to serve me better. First, I have to see it. That's B. Step one. Ownership clarity. Okay, this one directly attacks the founder bottleneck. Who owns what? You have to say it. What decisions belong to you as the founder? What decisions should absolutely never reach your desk? When ownership is clear, escalation drops dramatically. When my assistant first came in, she would ask me about every email. And then I said, when this type of email comes in, if you have A, B, C, D of information, you can answer it on your own. It reduced 95% of the amount of questions she was asking me. The reason questions are coming back to you is because people don't know what they are allowed to decide on their own. When ownership is clear, escalation drops. Because why would they escalate something that doesn't need to be escalated? It's unnecessary. Okay? All this comes back to us as founders. We have the ability to make these changes. Our U is for understanding capacity. This is the neurodivergent piece that most business frameworks completely miss. You have cognitive limits. Your attention has a budget. U is about recognizing your real capacity and designing your work around it, not against it. You already started your own business. Why? Why are you doing this horrible thing that is so painful? For freedom. Obviously, that's why we're all doing it. For freedom of time and movement. That's what we are doing this for. Unless you understand your own capacity, unless you build around your own capacity, you're going to be a slave to yourself in the same way that you are a slave to a workplace. You have to design around it, not against it. And you have the freedom to do that because you already made this decision to be in your own business. All right, the next is non-negotiables. These are your rules for yourself, your rules for other people. For example, your communication windows, your response expectations, your availability limits. Non-negotiables aren't about being difficult, they're about being clear. Clarity is kindness, especially for your nervous system, especially for your clients. If you need a personal response from me and not from my assistant, my response window is 72 hours. Why? Because even if I pretend that my response window is 24 hours, that's not true. I'm lying. I'm a liar. It has to be 72 hours because that's literally how long it takes. I'm the owner. I'm the boss. If that doesn't work for a specific client, that's okay. I know plenty of people who work much more expeditiously than I do, and I am happy to connect you with them. They're excellent at what they do. This is the way I work. your rules, your non-negotiables, your rules for yourself, your rules for others. Okay. Our D is decision rights. This is the system version of O. O was ownership clarity. This is the systemization of ownership clarity. Once I know who owns what, I also need to know what they're allowed to decide. So it's not just who owns decisions, but the actual documented framework of what they're allowed to decide and what the limits of that decision capacity is, what that decision right, that decision power is. Decision rights turn delegation from a gamble into a system. Like I said before, my assistant knows that if she has A, B, C, D information, she can answer an email on her own. That means that if she does not have A, B, C, D information, she cannot answer an email on her own. It's a system. It's not just you own my inbox, which she does, the exact specifications. The A is agreements before action. This is where the scope drift lies. I know that this one is uncomfortable. This one is contracts. This one is getting things in writing. A is about defining expectations before work begins, not hoping that everyone ends up on the same page, but actually building the page together first. Every client relationship, every project, every hire should start with an agreement. I don't need to tell you anything more about that. R is for routines that protect focus. Interruptions can't be solved with willpower. They have to be solved with structure. R is about building operational rhythms, meeting cadences, communication windows, workflow patterns that protect your thinking time by default. That means figuring out when that is and protecting it at all costs. Our I is implementation through delegation. This is where our delegation hesitation came in. And this is where distant assistants come in. Once the boundaries exist on paper, someone has to enforce them in real life. It isn't about having the boundaries. It's about installing the right support, the people and the systems that actually protect the structure that you built. Because the best structure in the world, in your mind, doesn't help anyone. Certainly doesn't help you. E is enforcement through leadership. Having boundaries is one thing. Holding them when someone pushes back is another. E is about learning to maintain your boundaries without guilt, without over-explaining, and without letting the discomfort of one conversation undo the system you worked so hard to build. Like I said earlier, if a 72-hour standard window for response from me does not suit you, I'm not a good fit for you. That's not a threat. It just is the truth. You have to constantly be enforcing your boundaries confidently and powerfully, not aggressively or angrily. And then our last is S. Sustainable systems. The goal isn't to white knuckle your way through a better week. The goal is to build a business that runs on structure automatically, consistently, without you manually holding it together. That's sustainability. Okay. I know that's a lot of letters. You don't have to memorize this, obviously. What I want you to take away is the big idea underneath it all. Operational structure replaces reactive leadership. You want to be proactive, not reactive, right? Have you ever heard that? How do you be proactive? Like, yeah, that's good advice. How do I be proactive? By having operational structure. You stop reacting to everything because the system handles it first. And then you can react only to the things that you need to react to. All right, so here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do a boundary minute. Grab a pen, tap, whatever works for you. Grab your phone. I want you to actually do this with me. Okay? I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Write down the first honest answer that comes to mind. Ready? Are you feeling brave? Let's go. Don't overthink it. Please don't edit yourself. Just write. Just see what happens. I'm going to do it with you guys too. Why not? I'm going to open up a notes app. So the first question is, where do interruptions happen most in your business? What channel? What time of day? What kind of request? Where does your focus get broken most consistently? Question 2. What decisions always return to you? What are the things that should be handled by someone else, but somehow they always end up on your plate? Question 3. What task should no longer be yours? What tasks are you doing that literally shouldn't be yours? And if you are being honest with yourself, what work are you still doing that you know you should have handed off a long time ago? Our fourth question is, where does scope creep appear? Where in your client relationships is work quietly expanding beyond what was agreed? And then question 5 is, what communication expectations are unclear? What are people guessing about how or when to reach you? Okay, look at what you wrote. It was actually fun doing this with y'all. Here's what most founders discover through this exercise. The problem is unclear agreements. The structure was never built. And that's actually really good news because you can build it. And that's the whole point of today. So take your leaks, find out, look at what is leaky. I came out with a very clear answer to my questions. So you can see the leaks. You know the framework. Let's talk about what you actually do. There are 3 paths forward. And the right path depends on where you are right now in your business, where you are right now in your life. Ready? Let's go. Path 1 is strategy. This is for you if you looked at those 5 audit questions and you thought, I don't even know where to start. Everything feels tangled and I need someone to help me see it clearly because I know it's in my mind. I know, but I'm going to need a little bit more time to write it out because it's just more complicated than that. I need to explain. It's better if we just jump on a call and I can explain it to you in person. That's you. If that's what just happened in your brain, you are normal. Congratulations. You can't delegate chaos. If the structure of your business is leaky, hiring more people just gives more people access to your energy. You have to redesign the blueprint first. That is what a strategy call with me is. We sit down together and we map where everything is leaking. How do we do that? Because honestly, you don't have the time or energy or inclination to take a step back and sit down and think about your business. But I love doing that. So what you do is you send me all of your docs. You send me all the messy stuff, all the half-finished things, all the whatever. I will put it together in a vision, in a map, and I will present it to you. You'll correct me. And by the time you walk off that call, you'll have a custom roadmap, a clear operational map, a decision on what stays with you, what gets delegated, and how your business needs to be structured so it stops running you. The strategy call presumes that you know everything about your business. You don't need any help from anyone except to know where you might need help in the future. It's very difficult to ask smart questions when you don't know quite what has gone wrong. You just need a human being to actually hold the structure in place while you lead. You know what the structure needs to look like. You're the type of person who everything is set up. The calendar is set up. The things are set up. It's just that entering the information into the system to make sure that the structure holds, that's not your strong suit. Follow through, not so much. Designing the system, putting it together, you know exactly what you need. Awesome. A distant assistant isn't just somebody who does tasks. A DA is the first boundary layer of your business. They sit between you and operational noise, so you only deal with what actually requires your leadership brain. They do that obviously through Inbox Triage, through routing your communication, through task management, meeting prep, operational follow-ups, all the things that are currently landing on you, a DA catches them first. And if they can take care of it, they do. Stop being the shock absorber for your business and let's build the fence instead. Shall we? I know that you needed to do it this way when you were first starting. You're at a different point now. You're at a different place now. You know if this is where you're at, if this is right for you. And then path 3 is for the founders who already have a VA or even an in-person team, but they feel like their team is somehow adding to the bottleneck instead of solving it. Again, this doesn't mean that you hired the wrong team. If it sounds familiar, You're probably in a situation where you hired help, but now you're managing the help. And somehow you're more in the weeds than you ever were before. Again, it doesn't mean you made a wrong hire, you made a wrong choice. It's just that, I say this with love, you might be missing the skills that you need to be able to teach someone how to work with you properly. The reason I say that is because if you're bringing in the outside help, sometimes because you've maximized everything, and sometimes, often, mostly, it's because you need other skills and other things. If those are the skills that you're hiring for that you don't have, it becomes very, very difficult to teach and to train. This is what the DA Academy is built for. We train your existing team, your VAs or your on-the-ground team, in neurodivergent friendly operations and boundary management. So they actually know how to hold the structure without you supervising every move. And then, of course, we also offer step-in support. So if your VA is at capacity or needs backup, you've got a trained team that's ready to fill in without breaking the whole system. So that in peak times when things kind of scale up or scale down, you can have a little bit of extra help without completely relying on or getting locked into a contract with an agency. Just remember that a team that relies on you for every micro decision isn't a support system. It's literally an additional, it's a management problem. And we fixed that. Okay. So if any of this resonates, I want to make it really simple for you. The next step is not to go home and try to implement the entire boundaries framework by yourself over the weekend. Please don't do that. That is not what this is. This is not like a take what you learned and take it home and work harder. The next step is a boundary strategy call with me. On that call, we do 3 things. We identify your biggest leaks, the ones that are draining the most energy right now. We redesign the existing structure around those specific leaks. And then we figure what should stay with you and what needs to be delegated to a system, to a person, or both. You come in with a mess, you leave with a map. That's the call. That's my promise to you. Here is exactly how it works so that there are no surprises. Okay. The first step is you send me everything. Like I said, the more mess, the better. I love too much information. Notes, docs, voice memos, brain dumps, screenshots, pictures of your whiteboard. The messier, the better. Seriously. The more chaos you throw at me, the better I can work with it. And please don't organize anything before our call. You don't need to organize anything. That's the point. Just stand and forget about it. The second step is that I do the synthesis before we meet for the full 60-minute strategy call. I find the patterns that you can't see because you're too close to it, because you're working inside. I organize the chaos, I surface the gaps, I figure out what's going on underneath all of the noise. And if I can't figure out exactly what's going on, then I'm going to figure out a couple of options so we can talk about it together. And then step 3 is you get clarity. We walk through everything together. Once I have my synthesis and what the data showed me, we walk through it together, organized, structured, and crystal clear so that you don't have to spin anymore and you don't have to waste energy on the wrong things and you don't have to waste money on the wrong solutions. After the call, you will know exactly what to do next, what to stop doing, and how to talk about your business with confidence. And I want to reiterate one more time, not because I'm teaching you anything, like not because I'm doing anything for you that you don't already have. I'm taking everything you already have and turning it into something on paper that you can follow so that it's not inside your head. A strategy call is not who needs strategy, or at least a strategy call with me is not for people who need strategy. It's for people who have endless strategy and need it on paper and in order. If that makes sense, if that sounds like you, then I've got something for you today. And this is specifically for the people who are ready to move. So if this is you today, we have 2 options. The first is the strategy call and the decision map, which is $750. You get the full call with me and receive your decision map within 72 hours, which is a structured document that lays out your boundaries your delegation structure, and your exact next steps for you, for your business, based on what you told me, based on where you're at right now, based on your goals, not based on what I've decided on your behalf. There's no guessing, there's no vague advice. It's an actual map built specifically for you. The second option, if you're ready to move on some practical support, we have 25 hours of DA support for $500. That's normally $750. So you're saving $250, and we're throwing in an extra 8 hours on us as a thank you for being here and for having courage to take the first step for yourself. This specifically is for founders who are ready to install the boundary layer right now, and they just need the hands to do it. Both of these options at this pricing are available for the next 24 hours. And the link is going to be in the chats all across everywhere. If today made something click for you, don't let it just be a good idea that you had on a Thursday. Please save your spot. Invest in yourself. Stop investing in other people's solutions for what they think your problems are. You know better than everyone else. You just need it on paper. And if you're not quite ready for a call yet, that's totally okay. You don't have to be. Everyone is at the place that they're at the right time. If you don't know where to start with the Boundary Leak Audit. It's free. It takes like 5 minutes, and it'll show you which of the that we talked about today are draining your business the most right now. The QR code is on the screen. The links are in the chat. Download it, do the audit, and when you're ready, you'll know exactly what to do next. Okay? Thank you so much for being here with me. That was so fun. Let's open it up. What questions do you have? Drop them in the chat. Drop them wherever you're at, and I will go through as many as I can. Here's a question that somebody sent me in advance of the webinar today that I think is a kind of a good one. It's a good place to start. So they asked, boundaries sound great, but how do I enforce boundaries without upsetting my clients? That's a really good question. The answer is by reframing. Okay? First, you need to reframe for yourself. And then you reframe for your client. So the framing shift that works every time is, I'm not restricting access, I'm providing clarity. That takes away the guilt that you're feeling kind of for yourself of what you should be doing and how you should be, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, you're not restricting access, you're providing clarity. When you tell a client, here's how communication works with us, here's when you can expect responses, here's where to send requests, most clients feel more supported, not less. The ones who push back really hard on clear boundaries and clear expectations are usually telling you something important about the relationship that you need to take as you will. Okay. What should a virtual assistant or a distant assistant, as we like to call them, what should they handle first? Yeah. You're not going to like this answer, probably, I assume, because most people don't like this answer. But it is the truth. It is the single most highest impact first move for founders, Inbox Triage. Start with Inbox Triage. Getting someone else to filter what actually needs you versus what doesn't provides immediate relief and is the highest impact. Again, it's the highest impact first move for most founders. If you're doing it, just do it. Jump in. Let them sort through your inbox. I like my inbox color-coded, tagged, sorted, and labeled. But at the very least, Inbox Triage. What is coming in? What actually needs you? Even just sorting through the spam. Even if it's not going back into your other emails, it's just new emails from today. Deleting what needs to be deleted before you even see it. Making sure to flag the things that are important to you so that your email and the notifications aren't controlling your life. I hope that helped. Oh, I love this question. How do I, or why should I, delegate when my business is still small? That's such a good question. Small businesses actually need more structure, not less. Not only do they need more structure, they need structure more than a big company. because there's no organizational cushion when things fall through the cracks. It's just you and you and you building your name, and everything relies on you and everything comes back to you. The way to start delegating is not by hiring your first person. The way to start delegating is to start with documenting one process, just one process. That's the beginning of delegation. Otherwise, what happens, and founders who are further on down the road can tell you, that by the time they're ready to hire help, they cannot fathom hiring help because the amount of back work that would have to be done in order to hire someone is tremendous. They'd have to go back, they'd have to review all the processes, they'd have to build them out, they'd have to build out the workflow, they'd have to build out a million, all the SOPs. It feels like too much work, too much stuff. Just start with one process, one thing that you do. Write it down. Capture it with Scribe. Do it in narrate the process to Google Meet and then have Gemini break it down. Type it into ChatGPT. It doesn't matter. Just get the process down so that you can delegate it to a person when the time comes. And in the meantime, you know that the process is captured and documented so you can close the loop in your brain. Okay, last question because we're running out of time. My team relies on me too much. What do I do? Okay, that's interesting. First of all, interesting phrasing. But that's a decision rights problem. And if we go back, decision rights means who is allowed to make what decisions to what extent. Your team isn't over relying on you because they're incompetent, probably. It's because nobody ever told them what they're allowed to decide without you. So you can decide these things if you have this information. If these things come up, you need to bring me in because you're going to need my involvement a bit more. Fix the structure, not the people. Communicate clearly. Everyone can work within it. I hope that helps. Before we all go, I want to leave you with one last thing. The goal of building boundaries in your business isn't to push people away, although a little bit it is. We want to push the wrong people away. It's not to be rigid or unavailable or difficult. That's not the reason for the boundary. Someone might interpret it as rigid or unavailable or difficult. It's their right to interpret it that way. Boundaries exist to protect the space where your best work happens. And your clients deserve your best work. That's what they pay for. They pay for you and they pay for the best of you. When structure exists, when people know how to work with you, when decisions happen without you, when your attention is protected by default, that's when your creativity expands. That's when leadership gets lighter. That's when the business actually becomes fun again. Because you deserve a business that works with your brain, not against it. And that is absolutely buildable and absolutely achievable. Thank you for spending the hour with me. I appreciate you. The booking link and the audit link are in the link places. And I'll see some of you on a strategy call very, very, very soon. I'm going to take the last minute and say that if you're anything like me, you know that you need a strategy call. And yet what you're telling yourself is, I have all of the pieces. I can do, this is literally common sense. I know how to do this. I can do it. I just need a little bit of time. I just need to find the time to sit down and do it. If you're saying that to yourself, you are my perfect candidate. I am not going to tell you what your vision is. I'm just going to package it in a way that is externalized to your brain. So I give you your brain functioning back. You deserve access to your full brain. The way to do that is by closing tabs. This is the biggest tab that you're holding open. It's your whole business. It's the whole plan. It's the master plan. It's the huge vision. It takes up a lot of tabs. Once you have a roadmap, once you have it down on paper, you can close those tabs out and maybe get some sleep tonight. Until then, my friends, thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you next time.